Sahara drains life hour by hour. But Antarctica ended in just a few minutes. When life is pushed to the brink, instinct creates miracles. Not just Antarctica. Every white wilderness will be featured in the natural documentary. From Arctic to Antarctic, surviving -90 degrees Celsius deep freeze. During winter, the hemispheres tilt away from their only source of life. The amount of energy received per square meter drops to a minimum. Besides, the Earth is not warmed directly by the sun, but by the heat radiating from its own surface. For every 1,000 meters of elevation, the temperature is reduced by about 6.5 degrees Celsius. Nature never lets life give up without a backup plan. The rulers of the polar regions are massive in size. A polar bear weighing nearly a ton has a surface area to mass ratio much smaller than a tiny sun bear from Southeast Asia, allowing it to keep every bit of precious warmth inside its body. Meanwhile, external details are finely tuned. Every protrusion is scaled back to minimize the areas where heat might escape. The chill is a restless challenger, but it is also a teacher that shows life how to hit its stride and reach perfection. In the following segments, we will dive deep into the ways nature confronts the white wilderness. The largest icy island on the planet possesses a name full of irony: Greenland. About 80% of this area is buried under a layer of permafrost up to 3,000 meters thick, enough to submerge any human skyscraper into the deep depths of geological history. The chill here is not shared equally among everyone. It is divided into distinct, demanding kingdoms. In the coastal regions, where the vast majority of residents dwell, life is a bit more manageable thanks to the presence of warm ocean currents. During winter, temperatures usually fluctuate from -5 degrees Celsius to -20 degrees Celsius. And when the brief summer arrives, temperatures can reach 15 degrees Celsius in sheltered bays, enough for even the most resilient flowers to bloom. However, just by moving deep into the interior, you will step into the planet's true deep freezer. On top of the massive ice sheets, average winter temperatures are compressed down to -45 degrees Celsius. At the Summit Camp Weather Station, the record once reached a low of -69.6 degrees Celsius. Something even more intense than the numbers on the thermometer are the pittorac winds that pour down from the peaks of the icy plateaus. They can reach speeds of 300 kilometers per hour. For the Inuit people, the chill is a demanding neighbor that requires absolute respect. Clothing made from seal and polar bear skins provides wind resistance and retains warmth. The energy inside their bodies is sourced from a diet rich in fat and protein from seafood and marine animal blubber. Even as humans have found a way to adapt, there are other wild residents reigning here with biological gear that is even more impressive. Surviving on the desolate tundra of Greenland, the muskox seems to have become a breathing fossil, a relic from the era of the woolly mammoth. More than 200,000 years have passed, yet their form remains almost unchanged. The muskox's shaggy appearance, looking like a wandering haystack, is a secret weapon called kiviot. This is an undercoat of wool possessing a warmth-retaining capacity 8 times greater than standard sheep's wool. The fibers are incredibly fine, yet resilient, never shrinking even under the most volatile temperature conditions. The name muskox is actually an interesting misunderstanding. Modern genetics confirm they are closer to goats and sheep than to actual cattle. The characteristic strong scent from the musk glands on their face is a complex chemical signaling system, a tool for marking territory and attracting mates amidst the vast, frozen space. Their nearly sole challenger in this rigorous place is Arctic wolves. When the silhouette of wolves appears on the horizon, the muskox establishes a circle of steel, an invulnerable defensive tactic. This is a contest of patience that really tests their mettle. The white wolves will try to find ways to separate individual members. The rest is up to the muskox. Will they hold the line? Their ultimate offensive and defensive weapon is the helmet horn. In males, the base of the horns thickens, meeting at the center of the forehead to form a sturdy layer of horn armor. Their brains are absolutely protected thanks to a special skull structure with air-filled chambers that act as shock absorbers. The journey through these white wildernesses has only just begun. Moving away from the tundra of Greenland, north towards Svalbard, where darkness reigns for months and a different kind of predator holds sway. Located at an extreme latitude, sandwiched between Norway and the North Pole, Svalbard is not quite as blood-curdling cold as many might expect. The Gulf Stream, a warm ocean current flowing from the Gulf of Mexico, stretches its long arms all the way to the western coast, making Svalbard the most habitable spot in the high Arctic. In winter, temperatures here usually stay around -13 degrees Celsius to -20 degrees Celsius. The brief summer even brings calm, sunny days, with temperatures reaching 15 degrees Celsius. In the town of Longyearbyen, burials are strictly prohibited. The layer of permafrost prevents the process of decomposition, meaning that bodies would be naturally mummified, preserving ancient viruses from hundreds of years ago within them. The incredible stability of the underground temperature also transforms this place into the perfect location for the global seed vault. Tucked deep inside a rocky mountain, the Doomsday Vault stores millions of seed samples from across the planet, acting as the final archive for humanity against any global catastrophe. But in Svalbard, you never step out onto the street without a protective weapon. With a population of about 3,000 individuals belonging to the Barents Sea group, polar bears here are more numerous than humans. They are true survivors. The secret lies in the coat we see. Every single hair is transparent and hollow, trapping each rare particle of sunlight and channeling it directly down to the pitch-black skin underneath to absorb maximum heat. Below that skin is a layer of fat up to 10 centimeters thick. It acts as both a shield to keep warmth from escaping into the environment and a vital source of calories when month-long periods of hunger arrive. In the middle of this white desert, patience is the sharpest weapon. A bear can stand motionless for hours beside a breathing hole in the ice, waiting for a single moment when a ringed seal pokes its head up. Their sense of smell is a biological wonder, capable of detecting prey from 16 kilometers away or pinpointing a seal den tucked a meter deep under the snow. In Svalbard, scientists divide these residents into two classes based on their lifestyle. Coastal bears are the settlers, spending their entire lives around the fjords and relying on the shore-fast ice. In contrast, pelagic bears are true nomads. They embark on journeys of 10,000 miles upon drifting ice floes, heading straight toward the far North Pole to find their fortune. However, the world is changing faster than their ability to evolve. Svalbard is warming at a staggering pace, causing their familiar hunting platforms to vanish earlier each year. The bears are forced to adapt to a desperate diet. Instead of calorie-rich seals, they must now visit bird nests to eat eggs or wait for whale remains. More dramatically, chases involving Svalbard reindeer, which were once rare, have now become a part of the new reality. While their mainland relatives undertake proud migrations of 10,000 miles, the Svalbard reindeer have chosen a completely different lifestyle. This is the smallest subspecies of reindeer on the planet. Every protruding part has been shortened to the maximum extent to narrow the surface area exposed to the cold air. Short legs help them lower their center of gravity, saving energy when they must dig through thick snow in search of sustenance. By the end of summer, these creatures become wandering calorie reserves. The layer of fat under the skin can reach a thickness of 10 centimeters, accounting for nearly 30% of their body weight. The microbial system in their stomach is a powerful chemical plant, capable of converting arid plants into life. The eyes of the Svalbard reindeer are a golden yellow to reflect away the radiation. When the polar night descends, shrouding the kingdom in pitch-black darkness, their retinas turn a deep blue. This change increases the sensitivity of the tapetum lucidum, allowing them to utilize every sparse particle of light to detect challenges and search for fragile bits of lichen beneath the snow. However, the greatest threat to these residents does not come from the fangs of a polar bear, but from the transformation of physical states. The phenomenon of rain on snow is becoming more common in 2026. This ice layer makes it impossible for the reindeer to use their hooves to clear the snow and reach their food source. Beneath that ice, a completely different world is operating with rules that are just as demanding. While fresh water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, the presence of salt pushes this limit even lower. The currents flowing in from the Atlantic Ocean carry an amount of heat that is warm by polar standards, fluctuating between 1 degree Celsius and 3 degrees Celsius. If not for the ice layer and surface waters acting as an insulating lid, this heat would be more than enough to wipe out most of the Arctic ice and snow in a very short time. Above the water, the air lacks the heat-retaining capacity of the ocean. In winter, temperatures on the ice surface can drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius. Open water areas, known as polynyas, maintain their existence thanks to powerful currents and the mechanism of salt rejection. As water freezes, salt is pushed out, making the remaining water saltier and harder to freeze. As of 2026, forecasts of an ice-free Arctic are no longer a scenario from science fiction. For a human, falling into minus 1.8 degrees Celsius water is a sentence that is carried out immediately. The thermal shock will cause your lungs to contract, and your muscle control will vanish in less than 15 minutes. But while we would succumb, The fish species in the Arctic Ocean swim as if they don't have a care in the world. Amidst the bone-chilling cold of these waters, a true giant is silently reigning. The bowhead whale is a 100-ton mobile fortress. While land creatures rely on thick fur, this giant possesses a more advanced biological weapon, blubber. This is the thickest layer of fat on the planet, reaching a record 50 centimeters. Bowhead whales are timeless entities, possessing a lifespan that can reach over 200 years. With their rounded bodies, they achieve an extremely small surface area to volume ratio, minimizing the gateways for heat loss. Evolution has even performed a strategic cutback by completely removing the dorsal fin. The disappearance of this part helps reduce the contact area with cold water while allowing them to swim closely under ice flows without any obstacles. When diving deep, this creature can actively lower its heart rate to an extremely low level, putting the body into an optimal battery saver mode to maintain life in an oxygen-deprived and freezing environment. But how does that system operate? Let's take a closer look at how it functions within the bodies of those surviving the frost in the Yukon. This is where nature truly shows it can go the distance. The Yukon doesn't hold the massive ice sheets of Greenland, but it is ruled by a more formidable power. In the village of Snag, a shocking record was set when the mercury touched -63 degrees Celsius. On the coldest days, the sound of a dog barking from 6 kilometers away still echoes clearly right behind you. The chill in the Yukon is a dry butcher. Low humidity turns this into a land of extremes. Traditional attire of the Yukon's indigenous peoples, like the Gwich'in or Han, uses caribou and moose hide. This leather has a hollow hair structure, providing insulation that is superior to almost all modern synthetic fibers. Traditional foods like pemmican, a mixture of dried meat, fat and berries, can contain up to 3,500 kilocalories for every 500 grams, many times that of ordinary foods. However, the Yukon is also a land of sweet betrayals. When summer knocks on the door along with the midnight sun, the capital of Whitehorse can warm up to 30 degrees Celsius. Trees take advantage of 24-hour light to burst with life, creating a completely different appearance. But that is only a brief intermission before the cycle of frost returns. -50 degrees Celsius. More than 200,000 individuals belonging to the porcupine caribou herd. 30 kilometers per hour every day. Each year, they can travel up to 4,800 kilometers, the longest land migration recorded for any mammal on Earth. counter-current heat exchange acts as a core survival mechanism. Warm blood from the body's core, as it travels down to the limbs, transfers heat directly to the cold blood returning from the feet. This mechanism keeps the leg joints in an active state without ever freezing, while simultaneously preventing freezing blood from lowering the temperature of the heart and brain. In winter, the hoof pads shrink and harden, transforming into sharp ice axes to dig deep into the hard snow. The wide, spreading shape of the hooves creates a large surface area, functioning exactly like a natural snowshoe, preventing an animal weighing nearly 200 kilograms from getting bogged down in treacherous snow pits. The nasal passages are lined with complex spiral bone structures, increasing the contact surface area many times over. As the cold airflow enters, it is instantly warmed by a dense network of capillaries before reaching the lungs. Conversely, when exhaling, this system acts as a condenser, retaining precious heat and moisture to prevent dehydration and a drop in core temperature. In the heart of a Yukon winter, the only choice is lichen, a nutrient-poor food source for most species. Their stomachs contain special enzymes and bacteria, allowing them to convert the complex carbohydrate compounds in lichen into instant energy. Eating dried moss might not be an appealing culinary experience, but it provides the necessary sugars to keep the muscular machinery running throughout the endless polar nights, and they, as a vital part of nature's life cycle, will eventually become the menu for another. The Alaskan wolf, also known as the Yukon wolf, is a survival machine. As with most polar wildlife, right against the skin is a dense layer of underfur, soft and completely waterproof. This layer serves to trap warm air molecules, creating a thermal buffer zone surrounding the entire body. On the outside, long and sturdy guard hairs act like a protective overcoat against wind, dust, and snow. The Yukon wolf is a chaser. It needs keen sensitivity and explosive speed. Unlike the hooves of the caribou, a wolf's paw pads contain a wealth of fatty tissue and connective tissue supplied with blood in a sophisticated manner. To avoid damage from the chill, warm blood traveling down from the heart transfers heat directly to the cold blood moving back up from the paws. This mechanism keeps the leg joints maintained at a temperature just high enough to avoid freezing, yet low enough to not drain too much warmth from the entire system. When they run fast and generate excess heat from their muscles, the system can temporarily bypass the heat exchange mechanism to release extra warmth through the pores, preventing the body from overheating. The wolves in this valley possess a superior size compared to their southern relatives. After successfully securing a caribou or moose, a single wolf can consume up to 9 kilograms of meat and fat in one sitting. This massive amount of calories is immediately converted into thermal energy, maintaining a stable body temperature of 38 degrees Celsius in the heart of the White Wilderness. Even when resting, the survival instinct never takes a break. The wolf curls its body to minimize the surface area in contact with the snow, using its bushy tail like a natural warming mask. The warmth from its breath is trapped within the tail fur, creating a warm air pocket around the nose, protecting the lungs from the biting air. But they are still not the ones using the most sophisticated heat exchange mechanisms. On the surface of the Yukon lakes, the tundra swan stands as an icon of enduring beauty. An adult individual possesses a dense plumage with more than 25,000 feathers covering its entire body. Right against the skin, smoothed down feathers with complex geometric structures trap tiny air pockets to create a perfect thermal barrier. To maintain its survival in freezing waters, the swan uses its beak to take oil from a preen gland at the tail and preen each feather, creating an absolutely hydrophobic membrane. In waterfowl, like the tundra swan, the countercurrent heat exchange network is specifically called the rete tibiotarsale, a complex mechanism located in the featherless legs. Water conducts heat 25 times faster than air. Arterial blood can drop from 40 degrees Celsius to nearly 0 degrees Celsius in just a few centimeters at the ankle. When the biting winds of the Yukon howl, the swan reduces its contact area by 50% by tucking one leg into its thick belly feathers, completely cutting off heat loss from that limb. The remaining leg perched on the ice will operate the rete tibiotarsale at its peak. As winter first touches the Yukon, the tundra swan prepares for a 6,000-kilometer round-trip migration. They fly south toward California or the Atlantic coast of the United States. As the tundra swan flocks veer west, they lead us to one of the most mysterious biological corridors on the planet. Crossing the Bering Strait, which is only 82 kilometers wide. The Kamchatka Peninsula. Welcome to the land of fire and ice in the Russian Far East. A long and narrow peninsula held firmly between the icy grip of Siberia and the relentless tempests of the Pacific Ocean. Along the coastline, saturated humidity merging with fierce sea winds turns the air into a biting liquid that seeps through every layer of fur and skin. Venturing into the inland valleys, Siberian air becomes trapped between high mountain ranges, forming massive pockets of glacial atmosphere. Temperatures frequently reach the minus 40 degrees Celsius mark. Snow begins to fall in October and refuses to depart until May, reaching depths of 5 meters. Even when a brief summer pays a visit in July, the temperature rarely exceeds 15 degrees Celsius. Yet deep underground, Kamchatka is simmering. The Valley of Geysers stands as a clear testament. Columns of 90 degrees Celsius water shoot straight into the frozen atmosphere, creating localized oases of warmth, much like Yellowstone. In this matrix of fire and ice, where snow can envelop an entire existence, there is a creature that turns the powder into an ally, a tool, and a home. It is time we talk about the most resilient member of the weasel family, the wolverine. Beneath the thick white shroud of Kamchatka, the wolverine is crafting a fortress. The entrance is situated at the lowest point, creating a perfect cold trap. Following the laws of physics, the heavier cold air sinks and remains confined to the outer corridor, leaving the elevated resting area consistently cozy and stable. At a depth of 5 meters, even the most forceful tempests become quite harmless. This serves as the only secure sanctuary for the next generation to arrive, shielding young ones who have yet to master their own internal heating systems. The wolverine's coat possesses a unique chemical structure that makes it completely frost-resistant. The surface of their hair fibers is exceptionally smooth, preventing moisture from forming ice crystals. This specific trait makes wolverine fur a top-of-the-line choice for the parkas of polar explorers, safeguarding their faces from the severe freezing caused by their own breath. The scientific name, Gulo Gulo, the glutton, is actually a description of an unceasing energy-burning engine. To keep its body warm in the heart of Kamchatka storms, this animal operates an internal heat exchange system at an astonishing pace. It consumes everything in its path. Its ability to process bone allows it to access calcium and marrow, the final energy reserves that other predators find out of reach. While this titan of the weasel family chooses to construct sturdy underground labyrinths, another resident of the tundra opts for a more minimalist strategy. As the autumn season winds down, the Kamchatka brown bear enters the phase of hyperphagia. Every day, a mature individual devours 40 kilograms of salmon, the most abundant source of protein and fat from the ocean. Salmon provides energy, while wild berries supplement essential sugars and vitamins, helping the 20 centimeters thick layer of fat reserves become more resilient. Mountain slopes angled between 30 and 45 degrees are the ideal locations. Here, gravity and wind will accumulate the thickest layers of snow, creating a perfect insulating down comforter. Some individuals even demonstrate superior intelligence by choosing dens near volcanic thermal vents. They utilize the Earth's warmth to heat their natural flooring, though they must accept the hazards of sulfur gases. Entering November, the Kamchatka brown bear's body shifts into a biological pause mode. The heart rate drops sharply from 50 to just 8 beats per minute. However, the body temperature does not fall as significantly as smaller hibernators, maintaining a level of 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. This is an active defense. The Kamchatka brown bear is always ready to rouse and face any intruder in the blink of an eye. For half a year, the animal does not relieve itself. Its body automatically recycles urine into protein to nourish its muscle mass. Hibernation is a clever solution for navigating the winter on land. But in the dark waters of the ocean, where the cold lasts eternally, there are creatures that never need to wake up seasonally. They live in a state of suspension, where time seems to stand still for centuries. Beneath the permanent ice of the Arctic Ocean, life does not operate according to the second hand of a clock, but rather by the rhythm of geological eras. Here, seawater can drop below 0 degrees Celsius, yet remain unfrozen due to high salt concentrations. For most vertebrates, this presents a fateful conclusion, as ice crystals would rupture cell membranes. Yet the Greenland shark chooses this realm as its kingdom. It immerses itself in a peculiar chemical cocktail consisting of trimethylamine N-oxide and urea. This mixture is not just a biological antifreeze preventing any crystallization in the blood, but also a suit of armor protecting sensitive proteins from deforming under the immense pressure of the abyss. Evolution has turned it into a creature that carries a distinct, sharp aroma, a chemical strategy that makes its flesh quite unpalatable to anyone considering making it a meal, unless you are an Icelander with enough patience to cure it in the earth for several months. With an average traveling speed of only 1.2 kilometers per hour, it is the most leisurely resident in the world of sharks. Its heart beats only a few times every minute, conserving energy to an extreme degree in an environment where food is a luxury. This is the exact secret to its longevity. A Greenland shark you see today might have been swimming beneath this ice since the exploration vessels from Europe first set out to find new lands. They can live for up to 500 years, only beginning to reach biological maturity once they have crossed the threshold of 150 years. Most mature individuals are without sight. A parasitic crustacean frequently attaches to the cornea, wearing away the host's eye tissue. However, in the darkness of the ocean floor, this parasite glows, unintentionally becoming a welcoming beacon. It does not need to see its victims. A keen sense of smell can detect a decaying whale carcass from dozens of miles away, guiding it toward nature's final banquets. But as we leave the silent depths and head toward the South Pole, the cold is no longer a matter of silent chemistry. That is where blizzards can bring down any creature that dares to stand apart. Welcome to the absolute zero point of the planet. At the Vostok station, the figure of -89.2 degrees Celsius is not just a scientific hypothesis. It is a record of extremity etched into history. Satellite sensors on the East Antarctica ice sheet have even detected unforgiving pockets of air reaching -98 degrees Celsius during cloudless winter nights. At this thermal threshold, physics becomes a biting irony. You are no longer residing on Earth. This is the environment of an alien world. Winter here is an extended farewell to the sun lasting 6 months. From April to October, the heart of the continent is locked in darkness, with temperatures fluctuating between -40 and -70 degrees Celsius. While coastal areas might reach 0 degrees Celsius, or occasionally 10 degrees Celsius due to extreme climate shifts, at the pole, summer remains a luxury with temperatures around -30 degrees Celsius. But the true adversary goes by the name katabatic winds. Dense, frigid air masses pour from the high ice peaks down into the valleys at a staggering 320 kilometers per hour. The wind chill effect transforms a -30 degrees Celsius day into a -60 degrees Celsius ordeal. Under these conditions, any exposed skin will succumb to the frost in less than 60 seconds. Why is Antarctica colder than the Arctic? The answer lies in elevation and isolation. With an average altitude of 2,500 meters above sea level, this is the highest continent on Earth. As you climb higher, the air thins and the temperature drops sharply. An ice shield reaching 4,800 meters thick completely seals off any faint warmth from the Earth below. Surrounding the continent are frigid ocean currents, acting as a fortress wall that blocks all warm air masses from the equator. Antarctica is essentially a desert. Scientists here must constantly manage severe dehydration. Their bodies lose moisture even faster than in the middle of the Sahara. In this frozen and arid furnace, most life chooses to take shelter beneath the ocean. But there is one creature that has chosen to face the challenge head-on. To counter the sub-zero temperatures, the emperor penguin has devised one of the most effective survival strategies in natural history, the huddle. Inside this circle of unity, the temperature can reach 37 degrees Celsius. Those on the outer edge, after having spent their energy blocking the wind, are gradually moved into the warm center, making room for those who have just recovered to pull their weight. This flock strategy provides absolute safety on the icy surface. However, not every species in these southern polar waters enjoys the protection of thousands of peers. The cold is a silent taker of life, but it meets intense resistance in these waters. Similar to the Greenland shark in the Arctic using a chemical arsenal to endure, the Antarctic toothfish in the South Pole possesses a much more intricate defense system. While most fish would become frozen fillets the moment the temperature hits minus 0.9 degrees Celsius, this giant weighing up to 100 kilograms swims along as if on a tropical vacation. The secret lies in its liver, which operates a continuous production line of antifreeze glycoproteins. Instead of carrying an air sac that could easily be crushed under immense pressure, the Antarctic toothfish utilizes a different design philosophy: neutral buoyancy through lightweight materials. Its skeletal system is less calcified, shifting toward a lighter cartilaginous structure. Combined with a large amount of lipids stored in the muscles and under the skin, this fish transforms its body into a resilient biological buoy. This layer of fat performs a dual role, serving as a perfect insulating blanket while helping it hover in the ocean without spending a single unit of energy on swimming. However, cold water is a contradictory environment. It contains abundant oxygen, but causes the blood to become as thick as syrup, creating profound pressure on the circulatory system. To solve this physics puzzle, the Antarctic toothfish equips itself with a giant heart relative to its body size, a supercharged engine capable of generating powerful pumping force to push a large volume of blood throughout the tissues, even when the heart rate has been lowered to a minimum to conserve fuel. But if you think a fish full of fat and antifreeze is the pinnacle of adaptation, the Antarctic Ocean still holds another surprise. There is a creature that has taken an even more extreme step, casting aside the red of life entirely to become invisible in the freezing currents. Just as the Greenland shark in the Arctic chooses to soak in a chemical cocktail to survive, the Antarctic icefish performs the most daring genetic purge in natural history. It is the only vertebrate on the planet that is entirely without red blood cells. The fluid flowing through its veins is as clear as pure water, completely lacking hemoglobin, the very protein that provides the vibrant red color and takes on the role of oxygen transport. The concentration of dissolved oxygen in cold water is several times higher than in warm water. The Antarctic icefish simply allows oxygen to freely permeate directly into its plasma. Blood without red blood cells has remarkably low viscosity, allowing the heart to pump the fluid throughout the body with incredible ease amidst a chill that could thicken the lifeblood of any other fish. Existing without red blood cells is like operating a truck without an auxiliary fuel tank. You need a powerful primary engine. To compensate for an oxygen transport capacity that is 10 times less efficient than that of typical fish, the Antarctic icefish has evolved a jumbo-sized circulatory system. It possesses a massive heart, much larger than usual body proportions, functioning like a high-flow pump at low pressure. Its blood vessels are not narrow. They are wide avenues that minimize flow resistance. The combination of thin blood and wide vessels ensures that oxygen is distributed to every cell diligently, turning a genetic anomaly into a masterpiece of biological logistics. The Antarctic icefish has peeled away every unnecessary layer of protection, even its sturdy scales. Instead of relying solely on gills, it transforms its entire body surface into a second lung, directly absorbing oxygen from the saturated, frigid seawater. This is a total advantage in the shadows of the ocean, where minimal respiratory effort leads to maximum survival efficiency. In 2022, the world was stunned to discover a megacity of these fish in the Weddell Sea. 60 million nests spread across 240 square kilometers. Each nest is a perfectly round pit where males devote all their focus to safeguarding the next generation. This is the largest breeding colony ever recorded for any fish species on the planet. It is a powerful testament that life, no matter how unusual, always finds a way to thrive even in the most demanding places. However, perfection always comes with a price. The Antarctic icefish is a captive of its own sophisticated evolution. Due to its reliance on high dissolved oxygen and thin blood, it is exceptionally sensitive to temperature. If the water warms by just a few degrees, this biological system could find itself on thin ice. While Greenland or Antarctica are frozen fortresses surrounded by water, Siberia is a massive thermal trap situated deep inland. The village of Oymyakon stands as the most relentless monument. Standing its ground with a record of minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. To put that into perspective, the freezer in a comfortable American kitchen usually stays at around minus 18 degrees Celsius. That means stepping out onto the street in Oymyakon, you are entering an environment 4 times chillier than that freezer. When the temperature dips below minus 45 degrees Celsius, civilization is forced to operate under peculiar survival rules. Automobiles are not permitted to give it a rest. Engines must run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because after just a few hours of being shut off, engine oil will thicken like honey and turn the steel structure into a non-functional ornament. In this place, fur and real leather are not symbols of luxury or fashion. They are the ultimate survival gear. High-tech synthetic fabrics often become stiff and snap in this extreme chill. Freezers are a redundant concept when you can simply hang food outside the window to preserve it indefinitely until spring. If Yakutia is the ultimate trial that Earth presents to life, the Yakutian horse is the one that beat the system to earn a perfect score. From a distance, you might mistake them for a bear thanks to their characteristic short, stout build and sturdy legs. Their coat is an architectural marvel, reaching lengths of 15 centimeters and growing so dense that it creates a perfect thermal shield. Snow falling on their backs never dissolves, as this layer of fur completely prevents body heat from escaping into the surroundings. The true secret does not lie in the fur, but in a state that scientists call hypometabolism, or a form of standing hibernation. Instead of searching for a cozy den, the Yakutian horse simply turns down its own energy dial. When the Siberian chill reaches its peak, they actively slow their metabolism and heart rate to a minimum while still maintaining essential life functions. The circulatory system performs a spectacular maneuver. Intense peripheral narrowing to pull warm blood back to protect the core organs, leaving the limbs to endure freezing temperatures without suffering from tissue damage. Their survival also relies on the skill of tebenevka, the art of mining for grass beneath the snow. Their digestive system is a fiber processing plant that is incredibly efficient, extracting every last calorie from what other species would consider scraps. The latest genetic data from 2026 confirms that these horses are not ancient residents of the polar region. They are descendants of domesticated horses brought here by migrants only about 800 years ago. In the blink of an eye in evolutionary history, they made a rapid genetic leap to adapt to temperatures of -70 degrees Celsius. A feat that usually takes hundreds of thousands of years to perfect. The thick coat and the ability to lower their heart rate are the tickets that help these horses conquer the frozen plains of Saka. However, as we move eastward, away from the open snowfields and into the dense forests of the Russian Far East, the cold is no longer the only formidable presence. The Amur tiger, also referred to as the Siberian tiger, is the ultimate heavyweight in the big cat family. Winter fur can reach lengths of 5 centimeters on the back and grows particularly dense at 10 centimeters along the midsection. A layer of reserve fat 5 centimeters thick envelops the hips and abdomen. Their massive paws distribute a weight of 300 kilograms across a wide surface area, preventing them from sinking into the soft powder. The dense tufts of fur between their toes not only improve grip on slippery terrain, but also act as a cushion to ward off the severe effects of the chill. Their small, rounded ears and shorter tail are distinct from their tropical relatives. The territory of a male can span up to 1,000 square kilometers. It has the ability to recall the exact locations of provisions hidden beneath the snow, allowing it to return and gather energy during whiteout blizzards when active hunting is not a viable option. Leaving the taiga forests of Siberia, we head south, where the Earth stretches out to reach the boundary of the atmosphere. Welcome to the Tibetan Plateau, the roof of the world. From November to March, the average temperature frequently remains stuck at -10 to -25 degrees Celsius. Even in the heart of the brief summer, the setting sun is when the chill descends like a hammer, pulling nighttime temperatures back near the freezing point, even though the daytime might be cool at 20 degrees Celsius. Living in Tibet means you are experiencing a frantic variation in temperature. Because the atmosphere is so thin and dry, the air's ability to retain heat is nearly zero. The lack of air density means there is no matter to hold on to the heat from the sunlight. The result is an immediate loss of energy into space as soon as darkness settles. This is the only place on the planet where you could suffer from sunburn and succumb to the cold at the very same time. At an average altitude of 4,500 meters, the oxygen concentration is only about 60% compared to sea level. The heart must work twice as hard to pump blood, while the body spends immense energy just to stay warm, causing exhaustion to arrive faster than anywhere else. Low atmospheric pressure creates unusual laws of physics. Water boils at 80 to 85 degrees Celsius. Wind howls across the open, unobstructed plains, pushing the perceived temperature down an additional 10 degrees Celsius compared to reality. Extreme UV radiation reflecting off the glaciers can cause severe vision impairment in just a few hours without absolute protection for the eyes. This is the third pole of the planet, holding the largest reserves of ice and snow outside the two polar regions. Entering 2026, scientific reports are sounding the alarm as these glaciers are melting at record speeds. This is the lifeblood of the 10 largest rivers in Asia, nourishing billions of people in the valleys below. Climate change has turned ancient glaciers into currents of instability, which is just the tip of the iceberg regarding global water security. In an environment where oxygen is a luxury and the terrain consists of sheer cliffs, the massive size of the Siberian tiger would be an overwhelming burden. Instead, this place belongs to a sleek and invisible warrior. A predator possessing a leap that can challenge gravity and a coat that blends perfectly into the grey stone of the Himalayas. To master these peaks, the snow leopard is outfitted with the densest suit of fur in the big cat lineage. With a density of up to 4,000 hairs per square centimeter, this figure makes the average American's hair look quite sparse and modest. This is a sophisticated multi-layered insulation system featuring fine downy fur to trap warmth. And a protective outer layer reaching 5 centimeters in length, while the belly region can be as thick as 12 centimeters. The wide and short nasal passages are where warm blood vessels perform a lightning-fast heat exchange, warming the frigid air before it can reach the sensitive air sacs. This respiratory system is further supported by a broad chest and massive lung capacity, a natural turbocharger that allows it to extract every scarce molecule of oxygen from the thin atmosphere of the Himalayas. Measuring nearly as long as its entire body, this tail is the ultimate survival tool. It serves as a balancing rudder for incredible leaps of up to 15 meters between sheer cliffs, where the slightest misstep leads to the deep unknown below. By wrapping its tail around its nose and mouth, the snow leopard creates a thermal filter, shielding its face and respiratory system from freezing during the most severe winter nights. Beneath the soles of its feet is a dense layer of fur-covered padding, acting as natural snowshoes that help distribute weight and increase grip on the most precarious surfaces. But as we leave the solitary cliffs of this hunter to descend in altitude toward the vast plains of Tibet, the chill does not lessen. It only shifts its form. The wild yak is a genuine tank of flesh and fur, and it is tough as nails. The most sophisticated feature is in the skin, which secretes a special natural oil that helps bind the hair fibers together. It forms a completely waterproof barrier, turning the animal's body into an impenetrable thermal fortress against any tempest. At an altitude of 5,000 meters, where oxygen pressure is only half that of sea level, The lungs of the wild yak maximize the intake of thin air, while the heart is exceptionally large to pump oxygen-rich blood throughout the body. Their blood possesses a red blood cell count many times higher than ordinary cattle, combined with a special type of hemoglobin capable of binding oxygen very effectively. This superiority allows them to move with ease in a place where other species would succumb to heart failure or lung issues. Specific genetic mutations have turned them into residents immune to altitude sickness. A true masterpiece of genetics. The wild yak's tongue is covered in rough, fleshy barbs, allowing it to scrape away every bit of moss or lichen clinging to hard stone. The process of breaking down food inside the stomach radiates a significant amount of heat, warming the animal from the inside out. Their stomachs are capable of warming liquids extremely fast, turning cold snow into a source of warm water without lowering their core temperature. Ironically, this challenger of the frost is sensitive to high temperatures. As soon as the temperature exceeds 15 degrees Celsius, they will begin to experience heat exhaustion. While the snow leopard and the wolf are facing off against the challenges of the plateau, another resident opts for a pragmatic and much more comfortable lifestyle. Welcome to the world of the Himalayan marmot, the true masters of hitting the hay on the roof of the world. When winter arrives and food sources vanish beneath the thick snow, this rodent begins a vacation lasting up to 8 months. Their heart rate, typically at 100 beats per minute, will drop significantly to just 2 or 4 beats per minute. Their survival fortresses are villas, reaching 10 meters beneath the earth. At this depth, the temperature remains steady, completely shielded from the howling purga blizzards above. The entire family of 15 individuals will curl together into a single sphere of warmth and fur. During the brief summer, the Himalayan marmot becomes a professional eater during the hyperphagia phase. They need to accumulate an exceptionally thick layer of brown fat, the only backup battery for the upcoming 8 months of hibernation. However, this plump figure also makes them a point of interest for the hunters from the sky. There is always a sentry standing tall, keeping an eye out for the sky. This coordination, along with the rapid oxygen exchange capacity of their lungs, a genetic mutation adapted for high altitude, has transformed them into the most resilient survivors at the base of the mountains. Locals fondly refer to them as the dwarves of the mountain, due to their calm and dignified presence. But the Tibetan Plateau does not belong solely to the wild species. Right beside the marmot burrows, human life continues to thrive. These are the Tibetan nomads, individuals who carry resilient spirits, brave hearts, and a level of fortitude that is second nature to them as they live alongside these creatures. They are the final piece of this survival puzzle, turning this thin-aired and chilly land into a vibrant homeland. The journey from the deep ice pits of Siberia to the breathtakingly thin atmosphere on the Tibetan plateau has revealed a stark truth. Nature does not leave things to chance. It is an uncompromising yet brilliant designer. Amidst a chill capable of crushing every molecular bond, life does more than just get by. It persistently takes hold and transforms these extreme landscapes into a stage for the planet's most magnificent wonders, showing that it truly has survival down to a science. Which creature in today's natural animal documentary made you shift your perspective on the wild world? Is it the Yakutian horse with its rapid evolutionary leap? Or the Antarctica icefish with its philosophy of simplifying blood to reign over the ocean? Please share your experiences in the comments. Your understanding serves as a sincere tribute to these wild species. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join me on future field missions, where we will continue to decode the most mysterious survival codes. And if you want to explore more about other wild creatures, continue your journey with Wild Rwanda, Surviving Predator Jaws, or Giants Fight, Blood, Sweat, and Primal Survival.